Hey everybody, welcome to the Sally Allen podcast. I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about that. Welcome to the Sally Allen podcast. This is what we do. We have fun. Um, uh, Wait, I lost my train of thought. As you know, we use this platform for people to share their stories of resilience. And today I have my friend Kat Mendez, and I'm so excited to have her because she'll be sharing her story with us, and her story is just so powerful. So, Kat, welcome to the Sally Allen podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I
Yeah.
appreciate you so much, seriously.
No, I appreciate you making time because I know how busy you are. So thank you again. Yeah. So I want to introduce you properly. I got distracted by our conversation before the show started. So Kat is the founder of Project Intention Collective. She's a speaker and she works at UNLV doing clinical research. So she's quite impressive. Her resume is quite impressive, and I'm sure I'm not doing it any justice. So Kat, start by telling us what Project Intention Collective is.
Sure. So, Project Intention Collective is a mental health social club for creatives and business owners. The goal is to just bring more awareness to the importance of mental health. Your core has to be right so that the rest of your life can flow easily. So what I do is I bring affordable mental health care resources to my audience, and we basically kind of have an open conversation about different concepts around mental health and how it relates to people's lives. Because it's not necessarily the extreme of like some of these severe conditions, but it can be just something as simple as I didn't feel like making the bed and now my whole day has gone down the drain. When we have tools that we can implement to kind of help you get past that. And also when it comes to promoting your business, I help them build the etiquette around that, you know, being a true business owner, true entrepreneur, trailblazer, and just building a community. I think Vegas is a very transient city, so we need something for locals to call home, like truly call home, and have a creative space where they can just feel abundant and where their ideas are safe.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I know, I can't believe you're only 30 and you're doing all of that. I think you're 30. You said you're
Yes.
on, wait, on a national media platform. I spilled your age. I think.
It's all good.
But you don't look it,
I
so that's
age
important.
like fine
Girl,
wine,
yeah, girl,
okay?
yeah.
I feel like I look younger now than I ever have, okay?
Yeah. Which life can be
No, I'm just
hard, right? So tell
Yeah.
me, what's your journey? How did you get to where you are today and what you're doing? What drove you to be, to get into the mental wellness space?
Oh my God. Okay. So I do come from a background of domestic violence, which I feel like people don't talk about enough in the victor side of things. You know, a lot of people address themselves as victims and kind of, they fall into that cycle of abuse and stay put. And I was very adamant about not being a statistic. Like, I'm not going to have it. Even though I may make decisions that can place me in certain situations, I don't want to feel like there's a lack of anything in my life. And I grew up in a family that has a lot of mental health issues, a lot of which are unaddressed because of lack of knowledge, lack of affordability for resources. So that's why I started going to school for psychology, because I was like, the only way that I can get past this is to educate myself. You know,
Yeah.
if I'm making an informed decision, then I'll feel better about the outcome, because I know that I did whatever I possibly could to make it a better situation. And I was a young mom, so I'm like, okay, when I'm picking a career at 19, what am I thinking about? And I was like, well, people are always going to get sick.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I went the healthcare route. But I'm very much for creatives. I love to sing, I love to write, I love to help people on projects. I consider myself a facilitator, so I figured that this was the best way for me to reach people in the most impactful way I could without being too involved to the point where it's a fault and I make it like my burden to bear.
Yeah.
Which is why I think community is important. So we can delegate, responsibility. We can call on someone else like, hey, I need you. Or we can be that, guidance to someone. I always tell people, you're the richest you are when you pay it forward in knowledge. It doesn't
Yeah.
cost you anything. It doesn't make you any less. So why not? So that's what kind of made me want to take this route. I'm also the oldest daughter. So, naturally I was the second mom, and that comes with its own things too. Just trying to figure out your placement and then moving to a new city because I'm from New York. I didn't have any friends here, and I'm like, damn, what's going on? So I kind of took control of the narrative in that way. I was like, well, excuse me, let me provide a service based around the things that I know I need. Because if I feel this way, I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of other people that do. So just, creating a space where people can feel their feelings out loud and see themselves as a victor in their life. Because we got a lot of things that go on, but I'm all about leading with love, and the only way to do that is to be understanding.
So talk to us about your feelings when you start discovering that I don't feel right. Like, what prompted that? Like, did something happen? Because at some point you're thinking, I am not okay.
Well, so I have a history of severe depression and anxiety. So by default, whenever I was under like a high stress situation, I would have panic attacks or anxiety attacks. And that, to me, it's different for everyone, but it literally feels like you're dying. Like you're out of breath, you feel dizzy, you're there, but you're not in control. It feels very helpless, to be honest. And that was really scary for me because I was young. I was a little girl when I was going through this. You hear mental health and you think, oh, adults and they're BS, but it's like a lot of people, they oversee the fact that the children are a part of the domestic violence just as much, and if not more, because we kind of want to make up where things are not going too well. We want to see our parents together and all these things, but there was always something in me that I was like, this is not my life. This is going to not be my life because it's not a decision that I made.
Yeah.
And that's why I lead with that whole ideology of being a victor, because I can choose to win. I can choose to improve. I can choose to learn. I can choose to lead. And I can also choose to kind of conform to my situation. So that's kind of how it went with the anxiety. Like, I went to the hospital and like, there's nothing we can do for you. It's your body. You have to control it. And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? What am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
And then they put me on like medications and I became a zombie. I'm just, I'm here, but I'm not there.
Right.
And I was like, I can't do this. So I did the whole yoga, I did the meditation, and that worked, because at the end of the day, you always have to come back to self. But even in those practices, it takes a community, like people having knowledge that you may not have access to and them sharing it has always been what's gotten me through life. So I'm really big on doing that for other people, especially minorities. We already have a lot of obstacles up against us. The people that fall into those statistics, being a single parent, being a young parent, coming from domestic violence. A lot of people, they look at you and they're like, oh, well, you look okay to me. And I'm like, mentally, if you want to go on a ride, let me know.
You don't want to get in here. You don't want to see what's in here.
You know what I'm saying?
But I think it's it's taboo in some culture, right? Like they don't believe in that. They're like, you fall down, pick yourself up and get going. They don't believe in the mental health aspect of how you feel because you don't talk about that stuff in some cultures.
Yeah.
Like I know for my culture, like it's woo-woo stuff. Right. It's just woo-woo. Like, get over it and move on. So one of the things that I noticed as you are talking is similar. Our background, growing up as children is similar, the two of us, because I hear you say you chose your mindset as you were growing up. You kept saying, this is not me. I'm not going to be like this. I'm going to be better. That was my mindset too, growing up. Like, I don't have to be like these people who are treating me like this over here and all this violence I'm seeing over here. I have a choice. No one should feel the way I feel.
Right.
That was my mentality. I don't ever want anybody to feel so, what's the word, like desperate and to feel like they don't have a choice and to feel like this is going to be your life, all your life. And there's such hopelessness in that. So I want to ask you, though, what brought you from New York City to Vegas? Oh, it's a story. I love
Am
it.
I going to use this platform to say the real answer?
Oh,
So I usually tell people, which it's not a lie, but it's not the whole truth. I moved out here because I wanted to be a psychiatrist.
okay.
So I planned on coming to medical school. I got accepted. Because for those of you that don't know, I do have an Ivy League education. Your girl is beauty and brains. Okay?
Oh, girl, yeah, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I like to humble flex that a little bit because you shouldn't be embarrassed to
That's
have an
right.
education. Even
Amen.
if you want to own a business, you should still educate yourself.
That's right.
I'm a really big advocate of that. But yeah, I came out here for that because I have family out here. So I figured if I'm going to not be able to work for 4 years and I have a kid, maybe they
Yeah.
can help, but you shouldn't really rely on anyone for that. But the real reason I moved out here was because of the domestic violence. Even in my old age, it was still very much a real issue, which is why, I'm, how do I put this? I hate when people tell me, like, let the past be the past, when I'm just not telling you that it's still present, because I'm sparing you
Right.
the migraine of the fact that this is still something that's happening. And now being a mother, I don't want my child exposed to that. Like, it's already enough that me and his dad are not together, although we have an amazing, great relationship. Even his stepmom, I love her. I think I love her more than I love my son's dad, because she's just great. The more people to love my kid is great.
Yeah.
And when I look at my core family, I'm like, this ain't giving that. So I've always been the kind of person, and I tell people this, I'm very transparent up front. If I like you, I like you, and if I don't, you're going to know that. Doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. It just doesn't work for me and the way that I lead my life. But the main thing I tell people is, I judge you based off of the role you decide to play in my life, not based off of the title that you have. You can be a mother, a father, a aunt, an uncle, but if you don't play that role, being a leader, being a protector, a provider, then, you're just another human being to me. We don't really have, if our experience is not connected through love, it's useless to me. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be afraid. I always tell people I am very in tune with my intuition. The main thing I always say is, I don't want my stomach to hurt when I hear your name or I think about you. And no one ever knows what I mean when I say that. And I'm like, you know what I'm talking about.
I love it. I love it. Yes.
You know what I mean. Don't play with me.
Girl,
Don't play
my
with me.
circle is yay small, okay?
Oh my
goodness. You can
goodness.
count it off of one hand. It's yay small. Because I'm the same like you.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're going to be in my life, show up.
Right.
You have to show up.
Right.
And I get this thing people would say to me, but so I have to tell you what I did, and you'd be really proud of me. Starting this year, I stopped, for people that I'm always texting, I stopped texting them to see how long it will take them to get back to me.
Girl, if you'd hold your breath, you'd die.
Yes, 6
Don't
months
do that.
later, I just literally and figuratively removed those people. Like, you get off my phone, you're not, and I did that. And I was telling, I told some people that, and they say to me, like, people are busy, they have their lives. I'm like, 6 months? You don't have a minute?
Girl, please. You're busy too.
Exactly.
You're busy.
So I totally get where you're going with, if you're going to be in my life, show up and be present.
Yeah.
And the few
100%.
people I have in my life, they show up and they are present. So
Yeah.
it's so important to have your circle, especially when you have a child. What is your son's name?
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, how
my
old is he?
baby. I love him so much. He's 11 and a
Okay.
half.
Yeah.
Going on like
22?
32. Oh, no, girl. I love let me tell you something about my baby. Okay. I am a free for all. I'm with you know what I'm saying? Like, let's go. Let's try at least and see. I'm very much that person. My son has a plan for his entire life. And everyone's like, oh, that's just because he's little. I'm like, no, it's that home training. It's that love that I poured into this other human being, because I want him to look at life based off of the things that he wants, not what he doesn't want.
Yeah.
Because if he focuses in on that, now all of your attention is there, and that's all you're going to see.
Yeah.
I don't want you to only see what's in front of you. And I always tell him, have a vision for your life. Don't necessarily have a plan, because when you have a plan, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be worried about meeting deadlines. You're not experiencing your life. You're just living it. So since he was little, he knows how many kids he wants. He knows what kind of wife he wants. He wants a motorcycle. She's going to have a really nice truck for all the kids to fit.
Oh my God.
And he said, Mommy, you can't live with me, but I will buy you a house. I'm like, okay then. Do your thing. I'm just a witness.
What does he want to do though? What does he want to do?
So he switches between wanting to be a helicopter police officer.
Is that a new one? Is there such thing as a helicopter?
Girl, he's on that tactical side. I don't know what he's doing. He don't even play video games. I'm like, what made you interested in that? I'm confused. So either that or, a professional athlete. And I'm like, well, based off the life you said you want, I don't know if that's going to work. But hey, do your thing. He's good at baseball and football. So, only time will tell. It already exists. And that's what I love about him.
Yeah.
Is I try to teach this to everyone and myself. This is what another tool that I used to help calm my anxiety was the belief, the true belief that everything already exists in time and space.
Yes.
We are just catching up, Yeah. And when people are like, girl, what does that even mean? So I'll ask you, have you ever had deja vu?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had a dream and something very, very, very similar happened after?
Uh-huh.
If that already exists within you, how can you tell me it doesn't already exist in time and space?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, that makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, trust that if you are still alive and breathing, there's still something for you to do here.
Yes.
Even when you feel trapped.
Yes.
Because I felt trapped back home. I'm like, okay, I'm doing everything I have to do. I have the Ivy League job. I have the Ivy League education. I have the new car. I have my son in a good place. Why am I still so scared? Because it wasn't even unhappy.
Right,
it was
right.
fear. I was living in a scarcity mindset, and it made my world so small. And it's funny because now I'm here and I'm further developing because of the relationships I was meant to have here.
Yeah.
And people from back home are like, you need to bring Project Intention to the East
East
Coast.
Coast, yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't even know you knew me. It's funny. So it's like, and I want to go back to something you said earlier about making that decision to not hit people up for 6 months. Something that I learned in this first half of this year was a lot of people that have been in my life love me because of the way that I love them. I make them feel good. I make them feel seen. And I don't want to use that as a pawn, but you have to be really mindful. There's this commencement speech that Oprah gave, and she says you have to stop giving your gallon-sized offering to pint-sized people.
Oh, stop, girl, go
'Cause
back
it's
and
a
tell me that.
fact.
Go back and tell me what you just said when you started with people love you because of the way you love them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's selfish to operate that way if you know your limits. Don't ever do anything to a fault. Too much of anything is bad. You
Yes.
drink too much water, now you messed up,
You just went, my eye just went boink. Oh my gosh, so true.
Girl, it's
Girl.
a fact. It's a fact.
Yes.
And that is, I feel like, the first line of defense to discover that. We think that sometimes people are good to us because they listen. But you got to be very careful because some people are, they call them energy vampires. Mm-hmm. You're listening so that you have fuel for yourself, or you live vicariously through my experiences. I've had a few friends where I'm talking and then I'm like, damn, I've known you for like 3 years and I don't really know nothing about you, but you know everything about me.
Wait, I've had the opposite. I want to go back to the pint-sized comment, but I've had the opposite where I keep going out with this one person, and I know everything about her, but she never asked me anything about me. And
You're the witness to her life.
Yeah, and it took me a minute to realize, like, wait a minute, I'm there for you, but you don't know anything about me, so you can't be there for me.
I want to share something with you, like a food for thought that I had to learn along the way too.
Yeah.
So what I've learned is you cannot offer me what you come to me for. Because you're looking for somebody to teach you. You know what I'm saying? If I'm really good at maintaining my relationship and your relationship is in shambles, you're going to come to me for relationship advice.
Right.
Would I turn around and come to you for that? Maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Maybe not. So that's where grace comes in, and that's where leading with love comes in. Is I understand that maybe you need me for this. Now my mission is to figure out what benefit you bring to my life. And if you do, cool.
Cool. Yeah.
We keep it up. Let's keep it running. And if not, I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you so much for the experience, but I gotta go.
Yeah.
And that's how I've been lately. And it's been so healthy for me, and it doesn't feel heavy. And a lot of people don't realize this, even when it comes to mental health situations, that affects your diet. That affects your sleep schedule, your relationship with yourself, way more than other people. You know, they only get a little bit of what we really dealing with in our head. And I was tired of beating myself up from the inside out.
Right.
You know, and I had to have those really harsh understandings of, it doesn't make them a bad person that they're not necessarily the best friend that I would wish for.
Yeah.
But a few things. Did I communicate what I need from you as a friend?
Right.
As a business associate, as an intimate partner? Did I let you know, hey, this is what I want, this is what I like? You know, you got to give people a baseline to work with.
Right.
And then also, when I saw that you could not provide that, did I make the executive decision to leave?
Right.
Or did I wait and wait
and wait. And that's where you come into, you got to draw that line and put those boundaries in place.
Absolutely.
Because when you set expectations, and if you're waiting and waiting and waiting, that's when you see people are not meeting your expectations, you become resentful.
Correct.
Right? And it roller coaster into things that really affect you.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, it did for a long time. And I realized in my early 20s, I was blaming everybody. Because for a long time, I was collateral damage. You know, my life was in shambles because of decisions that I did not have control over. I didn't make the decision to be in a domestic violence situation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Did I make the decision not to do the homework because of my depression? And my depression is because of the... Yes. Yes. But ultimately, does it serve me to search endlessly for who to blame? No. You know, it's my responsibility to lead a better life. You know, that's why I always tell people when I first meet them, are you a leader or a follower? And they're looking at me like, girl, who you think you're talking to? And I'm like, are you a leader or a follower? I need to know who I'm messing with. So I know how to handle you. That's why I always promote at my events, you have to show up as your truest, highest, most authentic self. Because when you do that, you give me permission to show up for you in the ways that I see fit. You can decide if you want to receive it or not. That's completely up to you. But if you don't even give me a fair chance to show up for you in the ways that you need because I don't even know, then, you know, your feelings are not valid. They're not. You know, like you have to have a justification for, you know, I think a justification for when you want to change the dynamic of a relationship, you know, outward. Because a lot of things, we can come to all these conclusions in our head, but you know, if we don't tell our boss, hey, I'm not happy with my pay, and you're just waiting for a pay raise, you'll be waiting for a long time.
That's right.
If it ever even happens, you know? So communication is the main thing. And that's why I love bringing, you know, like therapists, life coaches, business coaches onto my panel. And I do a panel format because it's a conversation. Yeah. You know, a lot of people, they look at themselves like someone who would never go to see a therapist, or, you know, oh my God, I would never be able to be in the same room as that influencer, that famous person. And at my events, you have all of that. And it's a pretty cheap, you know, ticket item, you know. And I understand that, you know, we have life and we have bills, but, you know, when I feel like when you're putting your money into anything, you need to do your research and know, like, is this good for me? So if you think about it, mental health resources from people that are really about their shit, like not you know, internet flexers and stuff, like people who really put in the work and serve their community, other business owners who respect your time and respect your efforts. That's who you're having a conversation with. Everything is very intentional. So when I look at the ticket price versus the excuse of not being there, I'm like, it's okay if you're not ready.
That's right. And it's your responsibility to grow yourself. It's your responsibility for your self-growth. And if you're not ready, That's okay, because everybody has to be in a spot where they're ready to receive, and you waste money if you're not ready to receive. That's the key.
Right.
You have to be
right.
open to receive. And the word you use is, when you're not ready to receive, you're living in a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
When you're ready, you know you have that abundance mindset. I am ready to live abundantly, where I'm going to educate myself. I'm ready to receive. I'm ready to give abundantly.
Yeah.
So I think that that's the important part there. So tell me, what exactly, though, you talk about Project Intention, helping people with their mental health. How do you go about doing that?
So it's still a work in progress because it's for right now it's on the for-profit side, but the goal is to become a nonprofit. And again, just bringing those healthcare resources to people, either at a membership rate, because it is a social club.
Right.
So either at a membership rate or, general public. A lot of people don't realize, and if you go home and you try to call a therapist right now, you're probably going to be on a 6-month waiting list.
Yeah.
Here, at least I'm coming that night. I have 45 minutes. There's Q&A sessions. The providers, they always stay behind. Like, it's really community building. And I always try to tell people, like I was saying to someone outside earlier, I am the mall. You are the store.
Right.
You are selling your product. I'm giving you a house to be fruitful in. I'm not trying to take anything from you. I'm really all about paying it forward because I'm good. I have my career. I have, a really
Right.
good job. My retirement is looking real nice. I'm good. But I know that my gift in this lifetime is to be a leader. And I've always been that way since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
And I talk. Girl, do I talk.
Oh, I can tell.
Girl, my teacher used to call me a chatterbox. I used to get in trouble all the time. And I'm like, look at me now. It's serving me well.
But wait, I want to go back to, because what I'm hearing you say is that you use project intention when you say collective. I think I'm understanding it now, because under your project intention collective, you have all of these resources that people can pull from, and they're pulled in one place.
Right.
When you say the mall store thing, that's when it hit me, because I didn't quite understand.
Mm-hmm.
So you go one place,
right,
and you can actually shop for whatever you want in that one place.
Yeah, you can pick up a life coach. You can pick up a
yeah.
business coach. I had a sex and relationship and intimacy coach.
Yes.
I brought a hypnotherapist. I brought a spiritual coach. And then I also allow vendors.
Right.
So the difference with our events versus like a farmer's market or something is I strongly encourage my vendors to do live demos, because I know that I'm very hyperactive. So I need all of my senses. I want to smell the product. I want to feel it. I want to see you apply it. I want to learn, because I always tell people, I say that a lot, but why do you care about what you do, and why should I care? Right. Anyone can sell a product one time, but if you sell me your story, now I'm fully vested.
Yeah.
I want to see you win. And that's what Project Intention Collective is about really building those pillars of reinforcement, with the core being intentionality. You have to make a decision to want to have a better life. And that's what your community is for. On the days that you don't really have the energy or you don't feel it, you can call your friend and be like, girl, I'm not feeling it. And she's like, I got you. Let's have a brainstorm session. Let's meet at this cafe. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of the people that are part of my community, they're not even from here. A lot of people have just moved here, and they're like, this is my first networking event. And I was so scared because I thought it was going to be one of those mean girl empowerment fake brunches. And I'm like, no. We getting down to the nitty gritty over here. Okay. And if you have a question, you ask. Don't leave this room the same way you came in, because then I didn't do my job.
Yeah.
And I always, I welcome people for that moment of silence. Sit with yourself for a minute. Yeah. Really think about why you're here, because there's a reason.
You had me sit with myself for a minute.
How did you how did you feel?
Sitting by myself for a minute.
Yes, it's crazy, right?
I can do it by myself, but we were in a room of like 60 people, and you're like, sit by yourself, and I'm just like, I don't want to with all these people around. I can feel their energy. I can actually feel their energy,
That's
and
the
we were sitting so
point.
close. Yeah,
That's the point.
yeah.
We're
I was
never
like,
alone.
yes, and I'm like, this is very uncomfortable. It's very, very uncomfortable. So when is your next event?
So I still don't have a set date, but people can go on my website at awomansintentions.com, because that was the original name for the company. And I'm going to be putting up a calendar. Everything's still pretty much under construction. I do everything by myself, my production, finding sponsorships, everything. So they can get more information there or on my Instagram at projectintention.co.
Okay. So what's a takeaway for our audience today?
I feel like the key takeaway is to lead with love. Lean into your own abilities and lean onto your community when you don't feel your best, because you're never alone. You know, like tap into your psyche, and how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
That's my paying it forward.
Well, I really enjoy having you on this show today. But I'm trying to think what my takeaway is, but I love that last sentence because I've heard it a lot in the space I'm in. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And it comes back when we were talking about don't live in a scarcity mindset, but live in an abundance mindset. Because when you live in one facet of your life in an abundance mindset, it translates in all the other facets of your life. Even if it means taking that $30 or $35 and go to that networking event or buy a book or something and start there, it will have a ripple effect.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to thank you again for being on the celly.
What the heck is that?
Pull it.
What the heck is this?
Wait.
Girl, I've been single for 12 years. He came right on time. What's up, baby?
What's his name? Conor McGregor?
Don't be looking at me like that, because that's why we always get into arguments.
That's
Y'all
right.
play too much.
Anyways. Oh my gosh. Thanks for watching. Until next time.
Bye.